Hello, everybody. My name's Rick McCutcheon, and I want to welcome you to the 300th PartnerTalks. And we've got a very, very special guest today from Microsoft, Cecilia. Introduce yourself, because there may be a few people who don't know you, but I think most of our audience know who you are and what you do. But let us know exactly what that is.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. First of all, I know it's a very special episode. I'm so happy to be here and finally have a chat. We've been discussing about having a chat for quite a few months. So yeah, my name is Cecilia from for the ones that don't know me. It's actually a very important year for me because it's going to be 25 years in Microsoft in March.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yeah, and this year is going to be 20 years in business applications. So yeah, it's a year full of milestones.
So kind of bridges into our next set of questions here about partners. And 2025 for partners was, I want to call it a challenging year, but it was a year that we had to pivot our businesses. In 2024, we heard about AI and we were told, we needed to bring it into our business. But, last spring with all the announcements, it finally, the nickel dropped, right? It's time now, and we started to engage with, being a frontier partner and what we need to do to move our businesses forward. So what are you seeing with the partners that are sort of grabbing hold of that challenge and moving forward as frontier partners?
Yeah, I think partners, it's no different than any other transformation. This transformation is just profound and it's going very fast. So in many ways, it's as profound as the on-premise to cloud transformation was. The difference is that it's just going very fast. And I'd say actually the other difference is that this transformation is revolutionizing how users and software interact. Whereas the on-premise to cloud transformation was not about that, because the application itself and the user and software interaction, that wasn't what was changing. What was changing was who was going to run my business, who was going to run my data, who was going to host my data, where was it going to be hosted, how updates are going to be flown, how am I going to absorb all my updates, all those things were. But now we are changing the life of people at work, and so one is the speed, and I am not sure, and it's not partners' fault. It's because honestly we are in a new territory, and we also don't have all the answers that I personally would like us to have for partners, because we are all in a new territory. But I am not sure partners have grasped the velocity of this transformation, the speed in which the technology is going, and then react in two ways. To your point about frontier, how does it change how I run my company, my own internal processes? I hear few partners changing the way they work. Because is AI internally, you're also a consulting company, you should also be looking at how do you make your sales more efficient, how do your sellers improve productivity adopting AI, how do you automate payables or time and expense in your consulting business, how do you automate, and then how do you automate the implementation of Dynamics 365? I mean, we have a long way to go in actually showing customers that of all areas that are going to benefit from AI and the automation that AI brings, implementation of Dynamics 365 is also one. So really being a frontier partner is the internal change in the AI adoption internally, and it's how we show up to customers when we're going to implement. And I'd say the third one is this skill that partners are going to have to take very seriously, which is this business transformation skill, because we are going to have to hold our customers' hands and walk them through a different way of working.
And I think you're right in a lot of ways in what you're saying. And at Directions in Poznan, where you did the presentation with Rob Young from the Infinity Group, and he became BC Partner of the Year, he was asked the question about who's working on AI at his business, and he's got a team of 4 people working on AI internally. And that's what I think's missing with a lot of partners. They're trying to, they're playing around with agents and things like that. But I think they have to, like you say, start their own businesses, get their own businesses running, show their customers how to do this and move forward. So I think 2026 hopefully is going to be that year.
Yes, I think so too. And understanding that we've moved from bots that talk to us and react like humans in like a natural language and can reason better over vast amounts of information to real automation possibilities that are really making strides every single month. I just came from my husband's office where he was showing me the result of vibe coding what a year ago was a spec for a feature and now is a full-on prototype built with vibe coding in 4 hours. And this happened in the last 2 months.
Absolutely.
This capability.
Yes.
And so it's moving really fast. So for our partners, I think maybe the smaller partners are luckier, because they have less structure to move. But for our best partners and our largest partners, it's going to be taking this change very seriously internally too.
So how do we see a partner's business changing over the next 24 months? Our large enterprise partners all the way down to our, boutique partners. What do you see some of the changes coming in the way they do business?
Yep, I think this business transformation skill, which goes beyond what a typical consultant that is configuring and implementing a product typically does, is something that partners will have to incorporate. Because we will have to, again, a procurement specialist in a manufacturing company, once we automate so many of the processes of interacting with vendors, checking inventory, updating colleagues, going to our ERP, all of that becomes, that person works in a very different way. A seller will work in a very different way. I mean, I don't know what CRM is going to be in a year or two, but it's not going to be what it is today. There's just so much in the day in the life of a seller that we can automate, right? So we're going to have to help our customers. I always remind partners, our customers are chair manufacturers, IT company, whatever. They don't know technology. They know, if they're a chair manufacturer, they know chairs. If they're a retailer, they know retail. They just don't. We are going to have to bridge this gap more than ever. We always had to do that because this is the role of partners. But more than ever, with AI really modifying the way users and technology interact, partners are going to have to acquire this business at this adoption skill, this business transformation skill. Number one. Number two, there's this blend from a technical perspective of the developer, the consultant, the data scientist, in this forward deployment engineer role that we're seeing in some companies. We are staffing that up at Microsoft. Our fast track team is also working hard on that too. I think partners are going to have to think about these roles in all scenarios where they are either extending a first-party agent from Microsoft or building a custom agent for a customer, and have these hybrid roles that are not delineated the way we were used to. And then third, for any partner that is interested in doing custom agent building, you're gonna need data science people to help you on these things, to run your evals, to get to a very well-performing agent, which we learned is so much harder than people think.
And so here's the gap that I'm seeing, because I'm working with a couple of younger developers. One's an MVP, and they're fantastic at building these agents. But they don't have the deployment experience, right? So they just, here's everything that we can do. Okay, how are we going to deploy that at the customer? So I think, the senior consultants that have been around for a long time, we need them desperately right now to teach these younger people that it's about the technology, but it's also about the business app and the process. But I'm telling partners when I'm doing sessions at conferences right now, you've got to get your customers AI ready. Like, you should be talking to every one of your customers, whether you have 10 customers or 500 customers. You have to have a way to communicate with them and say, where are you at in this adventure, and how can we help you? Because many partners, I think, are sitting around waiting for customers to react, and they're not sitting around waiting. The customers are really all active right now saying, what do we need to do? And we got to make sure that they're looking to us to bring them to solution and not somewhere else.
I think you're right. When we moved from on-premise to cloud, we did a lot of work with partners on customer success. I don't know if you remember. We asked every partner to invest on these customer success functions that would drive adoption and drive upsell. And we stacked it up in Microsoft as well. So think about that function in the era of AI, how important it is to go back now to our existing customer base, ask those questions, and even go further. Try to get those customers in a workshop where you can identify processes that can be automated with AI, because if they're not doing it, their competitors will.
And I was on some analyst calls recently where they were talking about, AI and the integrations and the adoption from companies. And, there's a lot of talk and a lot of fear within the partner base that our professional services is going to drop. It's going to go away. Where the reality is, we get inside these corporations and there's so many systems that aren't on the cloud yet, and there's so many systems that are standalone. They're going to need help with integration for a while. And we really want to be the ones to help drive that within their business. So I don't think partners should fear that. I think they should embrace it.
Like, companies need so much more help than we think. I mean, when we live in our technology bubble, we make these assumptions because we take for granted the level of knowledge about technology that we have, because we read about it every day and we take the time to learn, and this is our world. But our customers live in their own industries, in their own construction industries, legal industry. That's their world. It's not technology and the improvements month to month that AI makes that could dramatically improve the way they work. That's what partners are going to do. And I think there's going to be even more demand for companies that can help them adopt this transformation that AI presents.
Okay, Cecilia, I want to thank you for your time today. Any closing remarks about 2026 and what you're really looking forward to?
So I think you said it. I think I'm looking forward to seeing partners adopt and deliver AI-driven outcomes for our customers. This is the promise. This is what we are seeing internally at Microsoft. We started with ourselves, which is why we're asking partners to start with themselves. But I want customer stories. It's what I would like to see from our partners. Customer stories about business outcomes driven by automation that AI enabled.
And we're going to be delivering those this year. I can see them coming now, especially some of the work that I'm involved with and seeing other partners doing. I think we're just around the corner from a big change, and we're going to deliver those stories to you in 2026.
Fantastic.
All right, Cecilia, thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll have you on PartnerTalks 600.
600. Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations on such a milestone.
Okay, thank you, and bye for now.
Bye.